Yeah, the current topic that we were discussing is regarding reason, faith, revelation, and how they are significant in the religious context. Is it necessary that they would contradict with the reason? Right? From the perspective of an atheist, it's only reason. Strict atheist means he will say only reason. Only reason is the driving factor in life. And even if you have emotion, you have certain sort of emotions, they will, reduce it to what you call as naturalism, a natural phenomena. Something happening in the neurons. That's it. This is how it happens. Religion means whatever when we say it's a faith, something is like a faith. They will have a justification. It's based on your past experience or something related to neurons. So they totally deny out the role of transcendental entities or the other something else. But in religion means everything has significance, you see. But the thing is that even though we have significance for reason, some significance for reason, definite significance for faith, and obviously for revelation. Some thinkers, some religious scholars like Aquinas, they say that reason and faith they operate in the same domain. Right? This is what we have been discussing. The proofs for existence of God. God has given you one type of reason, and revelation means that is something belongs to another plane. But reason can help you understand the mighty, the greatness of God. You can prove just the example of proofs for existence of God. Yeah, it is a testimony that you are making use of reason in the religious context. That's it. It has significance there. Whether it may be the ontological proof or it may be the different kinds of a posteriori proofs. Cosmological, theological means they feel or they claim that it's the faculty of reason that is working there. They operate in the same domain, right? You remember last class I was telling faith and reason, they do operate in different domains. For example, typical example may be Kant. Faith, limiting reason to give room for faith. But they are made compatible there. They are made compatible. They are made compatible by saying that these two operate in different domains. That's all. The conflicts can arise only when you make their, their domain of operation as the same. Right? In Kant, he never says, he never intermixes faith with reason. The term practical reason that Kant is using, that's compatible with faith. That's all. Pure reason in phenomena. This idea, if it explained in simple terms, it's like after the scientific revolution in the Europe, or maybe age of discoveries, or during the uh, age of enlightenment, right? When new thoughts came in, they realized the capacity of human beings to know the nature, to invent things. The thought was like how to maintain, how to ensure that the reason and faith may go hand in hand. Let's suppose you are going to the interview. Somebody is asking you what is the philosophy significance of Kant. When you are discussing to an individual who is not having background in the subject, you go and say like he synthesized rationalism with empiricism categories of understanding. No, it won't relate with them. But when you say he was the one who tried to ensure that the reason and the morality rooted in faith they may go hand in hand. They are the two aspects. Like it's like he never wanted to get the dogmas in traditional religions to get into the domain of science and also the scientific domains. The more we think from the perspective of reason or science, perhaps we may not arrive at, conclusive evidences for accepting morality. Why should I be moral? Right, remembering, right? Earlier as well, I was saying the more you apply reason means what is right, what is wrong, we may not arrive at an objective answer. Or even when it comes to the purpose of life. In fact, it's too subjective, right? Life is a lived experience, right? When we think about AI, artificial intelligence, it can simulate whatever we are thinking. Perhaps the only difference, maybe tomorrow, even when you discuss with, if you ask questions to artificial intelligence, it will give answers in such a way that it's a human only. You may feel that it is understanding the emotions, you may feel. But the felt experiences, the lived experiences, definitely it's exclusive to the human, not to a machine. So anyhow, coming back, so the more we think about something, more about rights and wrongs, purpose of life, we cannot arrive at an objective answer. We saw in existentialism as well. So in that case, the faith comes into play, leap of faith. So they maintain in two compartments. I'd say Aquinas, Thomistic tradition, same domain of operation. If God has given you reason, then how can you say that they should operate in two domains? Whatever we are seeing, we can arrive at God, the proof for God. Kant is not accepting proofs for God. Even Kierkegaard was not accepting proofs for God. Blaise Pascal, we were discussing, it's like his position is like it's a safe bet to accept the God. An element of agnosticism is there in the people who are, compartmentalizing faith, which reason that you are feeling. Not like paper one, you can relate that. So that's the difference. Agnosticism is the beginning point, one way or the other. The limits reason to give room for faith. You know the justification. Kierkegaard takes the leap of faith. Pascal says that it's a safe bet to accept the God than to deny it. Thomistic tradition, they operate in the same domain. If God has given you reason, proofs for existence of God by observing the creation, you can know it, you can prove it. In fact, you would say God has given you the reason to understand that, He exists, the entity exists. Everywhere where there is a cause, uh, every event in this world is preceded by an antecedent event. So there shall be a first cause. That's it. You can see benevolence in this creation according to them, right? And another question: if reason and faith come into conflict with each other, which which of these two shall assume precedence? Mostly, the theologians would say that the faith shall assume precedence because in religion, faith will be more important. Aquinas also maintains so. He says that reason is the slave of faith. John Locke, he cannot be treated as a complete theist in that sense. He accepts God. His position is like when, just as a test, you won't get much scope to write about it, but understand it's like when there is a conflict between reason and faith or something else, any source of knowledge, anywhere, whether in religion, whether in science, it is the reason that shall be given priority. Right? When you discuss about some sort of religious experiences, if there is some amount of reason to justify it, some amount of compatibility with the reason, then it's okay. When it's not compatible with the reason, that shall be denied. But when you give priority to reason, the case is like, are we not becoming atheistic then? See, for example, let take the example of some ritual or something related with the morality in religion. When it comes to conflict with the reason, Let's say reason. Don't think like whether morality can be proved through reason, but common discussions, right? We accept something as right, something as wrong. So when you say that reason, I argued from the perspective of reason and changed certain rituals in religion. Ito होता है ना? Refining a religion, making use of reason. Human reason. Even in, you see, revivalistic traditions, revivalism. When you study history, Indian history, socio-religious reform, revivalism and reformism, both of them signify some sort of change in the prevalent situation in society. No? Reform, revival. Some, some kind of practice, regressive practice is going on in the name of religion. Maybe you can say this part, this doctrine in this religion needs to be done away with. Usko hatana hai. That is reform. You are changing it. But other, 99 doctrines are intact. Another is like, these people are not interpreting it properly. It should be interpreted like this. That is revivalism. Like we say, Dayananda Saraswati, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, revivalism, reformism, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So just I'm saying, but whether it may be revival or reform, I would say one way or the other, reason is made use of. No? One way or the other, you are changing it. But revivalist would say even after making use of reason, it tells like it needs to be interpreted like that we are not understanding it properly. Reformist would say it's that practice is a bit outdated. All other aspects in the religion is good. The reason, definitely in the case of a reformist, reason is given priority. Anything that comes in conflict with some, superstition. When you are doing away with superstition, any kind of superstition will have some sort of faith. Any superstition. You are eliminating a practice, superstitious practice. When we follow superstition means we want to question that. Blasphemy laws. Blasphemy laws means even if you question, as a learner, even if you question, why did God do like that? I'm not convinced with that. That can be treated as blasphemy. Right? Even Sufism. Sufism with pantheistic leanings in the medieval, Ottoman Empire, that they were treated to be blasphemy. Means when you say that I am feeling I am feeling that I am part of God. That is pantheism, some kind of pantheism. Or there is no any distinction between the individual and the God. It's like how can you say that you are sharing the bliss of the God? Somebody is feeling right. So instances have occurred when you deviate from the fundamental beliefs that can be treated as blasphemy. Some sort of superstition, human sacrifice. Superstitions means they will be having in different gradations, lower and higher gradations. No? Only when we see human sacrifices kind of thing, we'll say like this is superstition. Right? One can call that even, in our beginning class, we'll tell like where there is smoke, there is fire. Right? While explaining that I was saying while writing the mains exam, if you are writing with the same pen or wearing the same dress, you feel like, I will be doing well if I am wearing this dress. That's a superstition actually, Only the higher levels of superstitions will be visible. Others means, okay, chalo, no problem, psychological booster. But the question arises when in case of a conflict, what shall be given precedence over it? If you see, let's say some of the judgments of the Supreme Court, Not much scope for right here. Women entry into Shabarimala temple. So there were five judges. Four judges were of opinion that nothing wrong in entering. One judge opinion was that at the descent, one woman judge was there. So the idea was like, religious morality. Justification was like religion and religious morality and the reason. They work in two different domains. You cannot apply these principles onto it. You cannot write. No scope nahi. We have, but you understand that there the descending note was actually like faith and reason operate in two domains. The approving domain was like, yeah, these two are working together, and the reason shall be given more precedence. Or suppose if somebody is saying both of them operate in the same domain, faith shall be given precedence when it comes to religion. वो ऐसे तो नहीं है because they don't have philosophy optional तो ये सब लिखने का जरूरत नहीं. So it's like that will be like Aquinas. Now they operate in the same domain. Faith shall be given precedence. Had a judge told like that, that will be like Aquinas. They are in conflict. They operate in the same domain. Reason shall be given priority means it's somewhat like that of Locke. They too operate in two different domains, religion and faith. That's like the position of Kant, Pascal, Kierkegaard, what is known as fideist, voluntarist. Same idea, they operate in the two domains. You are clear with the discussion now. Just trying to say. This example you cannot write. And even I didn't plan. मुझे लगा बोल दिया. Okay. So, role of reason. We began the discussion with that only. They may be asking question like, what is the role of reason in religion? How reason are faith and reason compatible? Revelation. Are reason and revelation compatible? You will get more points when we discuss religious experiences as well as religious conflicts. Revelation means there are also, revelation means it's like incarnation can be treated as revelation, or even you see the revealed scripture can be treated as revelation. These prophets or saints interacting with God through the medium of some, let's say, an angel, that can be treated as revelation. A language through an unusual medium, that's it. Right? Even in Jainism and all, clairvoyance, telepathy. Telepathy means you are able to communicate with a person, not over the social media. Even without that, you can communicate with a person at a distance. Very easy. You got the signal from there. You are giving something, right? Those who are sitting in your neighborhood, they won't know you are, communicating with the other person. Don't ask me वो same है होता है कि नहीं. You need to write. That's all. If it really happens or not, you explore after the means, right? And if you get some kind of experience like this after the interview, you will be aware when the result is going to come, what will be your rank, what will be your cadre, everything will be clear. So you can post when in the this Telegram channel spreading rumor, na pakka hai bhai, this is insider information. You will say that not insider information, this is transcendental information. After that, Abhinay, once there was a question asked, I remember many years back. It was like discuss the role of reason and revelation in the context of Advaita Vedanta. Got no reason and revelation in Advaita Vedanta. See, for these questions, if you go by, suppose you are, Googling it, or suppose you are asking to a better answers will be produced by you only, that I can show. At least in this subject. when you go on for, or at least in this exam process, I told you, maximum when you study GS papers, for one or two examples, okay, you can seek it. But when you invest time on that, after 1 hour, you'll be getting to know that, yeah, this thing, if I had thought, brainstormed for 5 minutes, I would have got these points. I'm not against it, but in this process means you are having only two sides to deliver, two pages to deliver. Rarely you can assist, but you should be 90% of the driving factor, the whole process when it comes to AI. Because it doesn't know, what needs to be written. It's practicality. And 2 years back when ChatGPT wrote the prelims exam, it failed. उसको cut off पार नहीं हुआ है. It would have learned after that. It's not like it is lacking knowledge. It's like when there is that nature of questions. No? I won't call it ambiguous. That nature of question means it may overthink or its thought will be the exact. Machine will be thinking in the correct manner. But we need to think in the manner of the exam. There is a difference between. Okay, whether you think, right? Earlier there was a question on role of reason and revelation in Advaita. Just think. Just on the basis of paper one and your common sense, you say. Okay, this question was asked many years back. Yeah, that's fine. The whole, that's good. See, we need to substantiate, right? Role of reason means we have discussed, right? While we were during Advaita, initially we tried hard to prove that permanence is real. This world is Brahman. It is pure consciousness. This world is Mithya. In fact, they have their own arguments. Even, Advaita Vedanta feels like even if you are teaching it to an atheist, you will have something to relate with it. Even if you're not going to say that this is rooted in Upanishads or something, you say like, okay, what is common to dream experience, real experience? Ah, it is, pure experience. What is common? Okay, the knower is there. What is the nature of knower? It is pure consciousness. What is when something is changing, the ground is not changing. Is ground the more real or the form more real? You remember no? Arguments for Vivartavada. So in simple terms, we can say that the ultimate experience. They say that in their philosophy, it's like Brahman is the ultimate reality. That is a knowledge of self. Aham Brahmasmi. See, it can be explained through the medium of reason as well, through argument. We studied metaphysics. Even I told Naki, initially when somebody understands the theory without any sort of faith or conviction in what is being discussed, right? That marks the initial stage. Okay, what they are saying is somewhat fine. There is only one reality. It is manifesting as the world. So it is changing, it is permanent. How to reconcile? It is the apparent modification. Permanence is more real in comparison with change. So Rubas, Tadas, Lakshana, whatever it may be, you are writing a basic idea. Reason. Whatever we discussed through reason, it can be realized as well, no? According to them, according to any religion. That is Brahmatnana. Aham Brahmasmi. When you say Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, that stanza that contains the whole metaphysics. As a learner, we are like the person who is seeing the magic without realizing but knowing the theory. The same individual, after following the Jnana Marga, Bhakti Marga, integrating all these things, they will have the realization, revelation. And the revelation means, you see, we can integrate. Revelation means always it can integrate it with the religious or mystical experience which we are going to see now. Means its nature means it's subjective. The person who is in the empirical may not be able to realize it. He will be feeling the bliss. He will be the Jivan Mukta. He won't be bound. So it's the right revelation. Whenever there is a question, it can be integrated with the religious experience because reason and faith somewhat are relatable. Revelation means it's somewhat like the peak, individual revelation. You are in touch with something else. It's a transcendental, transempirical experience. So what? Even though there is no any fixed answer, the thread anyone will be expecting is when you read, you write whatever you studied in paper one in your own language, simple language. Your simple language will sound professional. Only after 2, 3 revisions, ठीक है ना? Simple language means you wrote whatever you feel like. वो नहीं, कहानी लिखने के लिए नहीं बोल रहा हूँ. So write something after 2 or 3 reading means that will those keywords will come and the language will be such that it will be professional but simple, your own language, right? Clear now, these two things are there. And even you can bring in the element of re, the faith as well, even though not being asked, as a path to reveal, get that revealed knowledge, religious experience. Devotion, purification of chitta, it takes place at the empirical level. Right? Yeah, that's fine. Good. Whatever you have written, right? We can Maya, Adhyasa, Vivarta, all these things can be brought in as an explanation for, the ultimate, the discussion regarding the absolute that needs to be realized. There is only one thing that needs to be realized. Right? Advaita Vedanta to discuss about that kind of mystical or realization. They give an example of the thunder, the lightning. Right? You can see in the notes. The analogy that is being given is like, presume that you are staying in a room, dark room, and somebody is telling that there is a snake in the room. And full of darkness, pura andhera. So imagine, maybe when you are switching on the fan or when you are sleeping by mistake, like another bed sheet. The bed sheet the snake. You feel like some sort of touch is taking place here. This is the snake. This is the, right. This might be our mode of existence. If you believe that what, just while switching on, he had put a rope actually and told that this is snake and switched off the light. It is darkness. Right? Fully traumatic experience. ये होगा ना when you are sleeping bedsheet ka dekho when the even the bedsheet is moving a bit, it is touching your skin like that, like here this is snake. But suddenly at a moment when you have the lightning, when the light comes, you will immediately get to know it is a rope and not a snake. Na? That is the realization. It comes in a flash. After that, you can stay in the room fully free. That is Jivan Mukti. Okay, na, you will get that sudden revelation is taking place. That is an experience which comes in a flash, and after that, life is free. In revelation, religious experience, suppose a person is somewhat religious. Suppose the student is a bit religious, which but rarely. One or two points are very much possible. One or two points are definitely, one or two examples are very much possible. Even though you are not religious, you will be writing as if you are a religious person. So finally, it's the examples and the keywords determine it. You can mention definitely. Ramana Maharshi, Advaita. And there is a bestseller, a bestseller book you can see in railway stations and all that. Autobiography of a yogi. One book is this. Virat Kohli, Steve Jobs, Rajinikanth. They people say like that book was a kind of life transforming thing for them. But that book is full of that kind of experiences. Paramahamsa Yogananda. Like if you are simply reading from the perspective of reason, if you are giving it to an atheist, they will feel like it's full fiction. They will feel so actually. Regarding experiences, interacting with people who have passed away. No need to read, but full of that kind of experiences. Bestseller influenced many renowned people. I'm not taking any stand. Na. When I teach means I cannot take any stand completely in this subject. So it's like that. So if somebody has read those sort of things, I won't say that it's going to elevate your score, but you can write. You have the freedom in this paper. Even if you have not read, right, I've got something to do now while discussing tests. Say like you write this example, that example, that you will get incorporated to your answer one way or the other. Right? Okay. What are religious experiences actually? Experiences in the religious context. What is its nature? What do people claim in any religion, any subsect of a religion? When people participate in meditations or some other activities, they claim to have, they discuss about those sort of experiences which are otherwise impossible in the secular context, non-religious context. Some may say that they started speaking in a language that they were never familiar with. Some people will say that I felt the presence of divine, or they say I interacted with God or someone else, or I had the immediate interaction with the angel. Or maybe after these kind of experiences, there will be a permanent change in that human being, at least for a long period, at least for a long period, or maybe life transforming experience. Okay, now that is a religious experience. Are they objective or subjective? See, they should be treated as subjective. When you make use of the word charisma, charisma we generally use in the context of leadership, charismatic leader, but they may be rooted in religious experience. Charisma means it's like you feel the power in one person actually. You're following some kind of inexplicable power. What is the nature? There are, William James, there was a scholar in the 19th century. In his book, he writes about religious, he cites some nature. They are transient, they are passive, they are pure. Just the example of Advaita, and I gave you the example of thunder, the lightning. Transient means it happens in a fraction of a second. And after that means there may be, permanent change in the way we are looking upon the world. In every religion, in every sect, at least there will be few saints or deeply religious personals. They feel like they had some sort of experience at one stage or the other. In modern context, we will say that initially we say, that he is lying, that person is lying. Oh no, there will be people who are lying, but a religious experience means if it's part of a discussion or a debate means they would have some experience. And that experience means it's like whether it is a spiritual or whether it proves the existence of a transcendental entity or not, that will be our discussion. And faith healing. People claim faith healing means because of prayer, some disease seems to be cured. Some disease, not every disease, some disease seems to be, they feel, the patient feels that it was cured because of divine intervention. But at times when this kind of experiences occur, religious persons, they say that it's a proof for God or it's a proof for the symbol that they are worshipping, intervention. But from the perspective of an atheist, they will feel like, why should we even discuss this chapter at all? Religious experience means it's totally either it's a fraud or it's a kind of completely neurological experience. Why should we even bring in the transcendental entity or concepts like the divine or holy into it, right? For a secular person means everything is matter. That aspect is also there, but I am just introducing the problem. And religious people many a times feel passive. Passive means they are not doing anything. Let's say in the example of many bhakti saints. Most of the bhakti saints whom we study in the medieval Indian history, whether it may be Alvar, Nayanar, or maybe the Sufi saints, they claim like, I am like a tool in the hand of God. I am nothing. I am a finite being in the hands of God. They feel so relieved. They feel so detached. Right? When we make use of the word ego or ahankara, right? Now you won't make use of it in the literal sense, right? You won't equate it with pride now, no. It's due to uh, lack of knowledge. It's due to ignorance, right? Now, from now on, you shouldn't say like if a person is showing off a lot, ये नहीं बोलना है कि बहुत घमंड है उसकी. You should say that he is in a state of ignorance, बस. अहंकारा, अहंकारा means ignorance. वो तो बच्चा है, कुछ नहीं जानता है. Okay, ego. Ego means we are confining ourselves to body, this finite thing. Suddenly you feel like there is something beyond I am mere a tool. We are moving away from that ego, na, confining ourselves to this. I feel it won't come through reason immediately. If somebody is having faith, practicing bhakti, okay, detachment from this finite. Even Swami Vivekananda, one among the stories, when he was interacting with Paramahamsa, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, his guru. See, initially, Swami Vivekananda was a kind of skeptic. And Paramahamsa touched his body with his leg, with his finger. He only says, and after that, he had a kind of experience. I'm not saying it's a liberation experience, some sort of experience. And he claims that after that, for some days at least, he felt to be, too passive in the control of somebody else. He being controlled by the infinite or something. People may have that feel, irrespective of the tradition. This is the root of this discussion, actually. People will feel, those who are faith, those who are had that kind of experience, they will feel from their inside. But I am not saying, I am stopping short of saying that this is the proof or existence of God. No. As a learner, we should never say that. We shouldn't jump into any kind of conclusion. We have the freedom only to understand the perspectives. And it's too subjective. It cannot be explained to another person. Nedi Nedi, Prabanja Shunya, right? Too subjective. Maybe people will, as I told, passivity. Transient. It's not like whenever you feel, you will get that experience. So it will come and go. It's on its own. It comes on its own and it will go. And it can produce a permanent experience as well. Permanent impacts as well. It can. I'm not saying it will, it can. While discussing yoga philosophy, right, I was speaking about not I, the book is speaking about the magical powers a yogi can get. In a chapter, Vibhuti Pada means magical power means you can walk on water, you can walk on the river against the law of gravity. say that people can, rise into the atmosphere against gravity. So whatever it may be, that power. So people claim these kind of things, and in some instances, what they call as miracles and all, which are otherwise impossible in the secular context. That is our presumption. It occurs. If it's not occurring, why do people follow, the practices in a tradition, at least a small percentage, with complete conviction? One thing you can say that it's due to fear, blind faith, and all. But these kind of experiences do attract people to become religious than leading a completely atheistic or completely materialistic life. Deepest form of this religious experience is, what they call as mystical experience. You feel oneness with everything, the experience that liberates us. Aham Brahmasmi or Sarva Kalvidam Brahman. Everything is Brahman, everywhere there is Brahman. That's a kind of experience. You are really feeling, a person is really feeling that everywhere there is the spirit. In Aurobindo, definitely it's like a Vedanta only, Advaita only. It's like in that state, you feel the divine everywhere. Yeah, what is that divine? This way of saying it is subjective. We can only study. If you have realized means you won't study. If you realize means you won't study, you are in the other plane. So divine, they feel the divine everywhere. Subjective. So what is the explanation for this kind of experience? Religious experience, is faith a prerequisite for it? Or is it a kind of, what is the root of it? Does it prove that are mystical experiences, you say, can mystical experiences or religious experiences be treated as proof for God or some transcendental entity? See, we discussed different kind of proofs, like cosmological proof, ontological proof, teleological proof, argument from morality, different proofs we extended. You just think, can these kind of experiences be treated as proofs for God? Means people say like in secular context it was not possible. I had the faith, I had this kind of deep experience. I went beyond ego. One is another person is claiming that because of faith, I got healed. Or some person say after this experience, we can see a lot of people, their whole life after that kind of experience means they seem like born again, newly born. They are they are turning out to be new individuals. होता है ना transformation, complete transformation. Can these experiences be treated as proofs for God? Just think. Yeah, that's good. Experience is consistent with the theory, earlier tradition, complete behavior change. Yeah, good explanation. Many hypotheses, psychological. Okay, that is also fine. Views are on target. Definitely, there is subjectivity associated with that because that feeling, na, that feeling of the divine, the feeling of the other, that is subjective. See, even in the non-religious context, we are having, a lot of experience which can be treated as psychological. Okay. Maybe you are in, staying in a deeper part of a national park, a forest. Taking permission, you are staying there. Let's say in Jim Corbett, Kaziranga, anywhere you are staying. You are staying, detaching from your work, taking a break. You are in silence, some kind of silence. I'm not nothing, spiritual or philosophical detachment you are practicing. You will have some kind of experience. I'm not saying religious experience or mystical experience. Something is happening, na? Definitely. Cannot explain. So in secular context as well, some experience. Can we compare? Or maybe, you are becoming too nostalgic. Nostalgia, nostalgia means Manloki, you are going back to your school or college after many years. How to explain that? I'm just saying you are walking to the same, the places some years back. As the years progress, only you will feel it more. And at times, we think like rewind it some years back. Here, what all activities or what all, I was sitting here. वो तो होता है ना, that is nostalgia. Not reason, some feeling, some kind of feeling. Can this kind of emotional experience, or when you say while listening to a music, person in singing a devotional song, listening to it, they will feel some sort of ecstasy, some kind of feeling. Can this nostalgia or listening to music, see, a person who is having musical sense of music, he will also feel ecstasy, no? Not the word ecstasy I am using, some kind of experience, you may become so emotional. Let's say listening to a music, some people will start dancing, laughing, crying. होता है. And that too in a group, and a lot of people are going and listening to the show of a person, a big singer. Can we draw parallel with religious experience? They are subjective, they cannot be explained. You are becoming deeply emotional, some kind of connect is there. Aesthetic experience, or you are taking a break and staying in a national park. You are not a follower of any tradition, still we can have experience. we may get questions like, can they be equated? Anyhow, we will argue from both sides. I've already told you, we won't take a stand. Sigmund Freud, psychoanalyst, he reduces all these kind of experience to mere neurological phenomena. Emotion kya hai? Emotion means chemicals hai pura, right? Different kind of chemicals. Reduction, they are reducing it, that. So any kind of experience means, we will have different kind of emotions, suppressed emotion, childhood experiences. All these things contribute to our character, the so-called character. In devotion, it's like you are completely involved into some kind of activity which we otherwise don't involve in our normal life. So these emotions come out in a different form. See, I'm not saying that it is correct. This is the justification from the perspective of people who try to reduce this kind of experiences to something which is material. There is nothing spiritual, just like you are saying. They may have a tendency to equate these kind of experience, nostalgia, aesthetic appreciation, listening to music, to what occurred there, matlab, what was taking place in the religious context. They are one and the same. This is just another emotion. Faith means, and Freud says, God is like the superimposition of fatherly figure on heaven. It's like right from the childhood when somebody is brought up. Presume, normal family, not a dysfunctional family, they will be taken care by somebody there. Not necessarily parents, but majority of the case parents. So, when in the growing phase, maybe you will be remembering he was a kind of deterministic in that. Character formation within 5 or 7 years means in the future, whatever actions we are going to undertake, it may be rooted in this. So, right from the childhood, somebody is taking care of you, somebody is there to help you out. Involuntarily, we are into that position. Okay. In human beings means that tendency. Okay. Alright. And after growing up, when there is a crisis, now you need to take the lead, right? Now you need to take the decision. But one way or the other, you'll feel like somebody will be there to help me. Somebody will be there. This somebody means projection of fatherly or parental figure onto heaven. He says that this is the God. So even the transcendental entity, even this kind of experiences, they tend to, account for it purely on the basis of simply, brain function. Even people cite some hallucinations, right? Hallucination means, you are able to communicate with a person who is not alive, or you are seeing something बाकी किसी और को नहीं दिखता है, though nobody else can see. You are not lying. They have a tendency, this stream of thought will have a tendency to equate it with that. Right? The so-called experience means it's there, it's undeniable, it's occurring in the context of faith, but they have a tendency to reduce it to this. So you can ask Freud actually. Freud से theist will be asking like, यार तुम कहना क्या चाहते हो? हम पागल है. This is what they will be asking. Means indirectly you are trying to say that it's only your hallucination, whatever experience you are having. After the religious experience, he says like, the theist will say like, I had the connection with God, I feel something divine. He became a better person. But Freud says like, yeah, तुम डॉक्टर को दिखाओ, something has happened. This is the way. This is the, the mode of thought will be okay. But on the other side, now you need to think how they are different. When it comes to the proofs for existence of God, if we are getting back, what I was trying to demonstrate is that, see, everything, when you claim about religious experience, let's say proofs for God. Yeah, which God? In every tradition, not even in so-called formal religions, established religions, institutional religions in the present, there were many cults, and still there are, lakhs of cults, smaller cult. People are having experiences, these kind of experiences that everywhere there is experience. Yeah, we need to admit one thing is that if you are a follower of a particular tradition, you can emotionally connect with that. And if you are participating in that activity, you will feel you will relate with those symbols in that tradition. Right, as an answer to this earlier, you were saying, no? Yes, one among the if experience is consistent with the theory, earlier tradition by seers, complete behavioral change. Okay, let's take the example of schools of Vedanta. Okay, presume somebody is brought up in an Advaitic tradition, another one in Vishishtadvaita, another one in Madhavacharya's tradition. They are following everything, the Margas. Presume that all of them had experience. Most likely that the person who has been following a particular tradition, they will say that Aham Brahmasmi interpretation. Advaitic might be saying like, okay, identity. I feel the presence of divine everywhere, divine alone is real. A Bhakti saint like Ramanuja will say like, I feel the divine, I am just a tool in the hand of divine. Follower of Madhavacharya will be feeling like, okay, I have got Sayujya. So what I was intending to say is, whatever we study as theory or whatever way of life we have been cultured since our childhood, the experience will have got may have got something to do with that. No? So proof for God means which proof? Which God? So there will be what I am trying to say is last class as well, revelation. There will be subjectivity associated with this kind of religious experience. That's for sure. When there is subjectivity, how can it be a proof? Right? Fundamental question. And what is the nature of proof? You are establishing something means it should be, you should be able to demonstrate it in the public. Right? Let's say in the earlier days, people equated the northern lights, polar auroras, as something which has, divine. You are disproving it. It's not so. You are proving the mechanism. You have the theory. You are showing that it's something else. Right? होता है ना? That is the nature of proof. Scientific means there will be objectivity and a common frame. Religious experience means only the person who is having that faith or involving in that activity will be accepting it. Perhaps the group of people who are together out there following the same tradition means okay, they can resonate with that because they are having faith. Suppose you are a complete atheist, and going for that religious activity, simply sitting, you will feel like you are the odd man out there. Or maybe if you are brought up in a particular tradition and you are participating in these kind of activities in another tradition, not because of hate, but you cannot relate. Just like you say you like football, you are watching cricket, you are unable to participate into that activity. That can happen. That's quite normal. That's taste. And even these kind of experiences, as I was discussing, the Freudians or psychoanalysts may reduce it to material phenomena. So how can it be a kind of proof for transcendental entity? Right? In philosophy of religion, you can discuss these kind of arguments. But when it comes to religion, you cannot discuss these kind of arguments. Samajhana, when you even contemplate the possibility that why this experience is arising, maybe it may be treated like a kind of blasphemy, rejection of it. That is the difference between religion and philosophy of religion. Here means when we study socio-political philosophy as well, we study capitalism, socialism, monarchy, democracy, forms of government. So we will understand what a particular system or particular ideology is trying to say. Here as well, the problem is there. The problem means problem of religious experiences are there. We are not simply saying that I won't discuss it. It is there. Simply we won't say like we won't do away with the problem by saying that yeah, this is based on faith. It's a kind of dogma I won't discuss. No, if experiences are there, if people are having brought up, having permanent changes with that, it's a matter of discussion. But we will stop short of saying that this can be treated as a proof for transcendental entity. दोनों नहीं करेंगे, but see, in answers we can have some kind of conclusion. But this is the case. This is the nature of discussion. And when, in religion means people speak about something, a religious person, his answer will be like he will be citing many examples of great human beings who had this kind of experience and how they contributed to the society in secular context means you cannot bring in that kind of change in a person. And definitely they say beyond the reason there should be something else which cannot be known from here. The same problem which we saw in Prabanja Shunya, Swabhava Shunya, the same problem related to mystical experience, the analogy of the cave in Plato. You will feel like there is realization, but I cannot explain to a person who is in ignorance, who believes that matter alone is real. And in religion and other contexts, they call music. Music means uh, it can bring in ecstasy. It can bring in different kind of joy. But they will say that one is religious person will say but that is fine, that is an emotion, or that can be a kind of path to reaching to the divine. Everywhere in bhakti or in Sufi music or the art forms, they condition your mind in such a way that they will take you to the other something, some kind of transcendental thing. Right, there is a song in Jodha Akbar when Hrithik Roshan is listening to Sufi music, उसको ऐसे पिक्चराइज किया गया है कि फाइनली कुछ some white light is coming, right? That is ecstasy actually. After listening to music as a means of invoking God. Even in classical music traditions, you see Carnatic music, Tyagaraja Swami, they were all they were rooted, they were Devastutis means it's like they were in praise of God. When they learn music, they treat it like a stuti. Just like in Bhakti, Sufism, everywhere means it's like music channel to God. They treat it like that. But a musician will be saying like, no, it's a secular art. We feel it like a kind of, it's emotion, higher emotion. We were able to take to higher emotion. Definitely experiences are there. Definitely they do say that they are subjective. But the case is that they are going to bring in, some trance, beyond the empirical, they are going to take according to the followers. In any religion, just like in Arjuna's Vishwarupa, feeling when he's seeing the Vishwarupa, he feels everywhere. He felt like, passive, helpless. I am nothing in front of it. In many religions, in Sufi experience, Christian religious experience means people feel their own, finiteness in front of something which is infinite. Now we are discussing it purely from the perspective of reason only, just like as there is no personal involvement got into that. Right. Just like we discussed existentialism, in theistic existentialism, leap of faith, some kind of experience, always associating with the divine. Until and unless it is felt, we cannot relate. But exam लिखने के लिए तो इतना काफी है ना. We will get questions like, are religious experiences verifiable? For that, we need a bit of aid from the linguistic philosophy as well. That is a topic, 10th topic, philosophy of language. Why? In that language means, see, scientific language, they can be verified. Just like a logical positivist is saying they are either analytic or synthetic. Have some brief idea. The other one beyond the limits of the normal language, just like early Wittgenstein is saying, beyond the limits of language. Um, Tendency to discard. Yeah, this is always people say actually. The people who believe in religious experience, they say materialism is a kind of reductionism. मतलब you are unable to reach at an answer. They बोल दिया कि यार everything is matter. But when you just see the systems like Advaita or Aurobindo's philosophy, rather than they are inverting the case, rather than saying consciousness is a product of matter, they tend to say that the all pervading, the case is reversed, the all pervading Satchidananda is manifesting as the universe. They are not saying that matter and the spirit are two different things. Only thing is that we are inverting it. When a materialist says any experience is rooted in matter, maybe an Advaitic or Vishistadvaita will be say, "Tum to say yo," but just reverse the case. The so-called matter is nothing but a manifestation of spirit. We are realizing it. Getting na? It's nothing like theistic. It's spiritualistic. They say you are realizing the spirit. See, Kant, existence can never be a predicate. Okay, but okay, there is no scope to use ontological argument, but that's fine. The argument that you have told is fine. You can say that it's based on a presumption. Already that idea is in the mind. When we are having the experience, we are relating to that. That's good. Bhool Bhulaiya. Bhool Bhulaiya is actually a Malayalam movie. In 93, it was released. In any language that movie was taken, that turned out to be a hit. In that movie, it is explained as a kind of, mental disorder only, split personality. That will be Freudian explanation. Mm. Dualistic will deny the experience. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, we will see. Right, even when it comes to, in fact, when we are accepting monism or the brand of mind body or mind spirit reconciliation in Advaita or Purna Advaita, that may seem more logical actually in the context of all the philosophical systems, because you are not asserting that only through this symbol you can reach there. Any symbol can produce this kind of experience, but finally this experience means the point that you are reaching in, that will be the same, which cannot be known from here. We will see in the problem of religious conflicts. In fact, this idea was only this kind of monistic theme linked with religious pluralism. That was discussed by Vivekananda in many of his lectures or in the Chicago speech. He says, like, you remember the example of the frog in the well. Frog in the well means it's a symbolism of a person brought up in a particular tradition who claims that there is nothing wrong with saying that I don't know the ocean. Only thing is that you claim that only my own well, only my own path is correct. Better hypothesis will be like there is something else. We cannot know it from this level. I can reach I can reach this level by following the tradition in which I have been, brought up. But the destiny, the ocean that you are going to reach is one and the same. He uses the analogy of different traditions or different religions as different rivers which reach the same ocean. Okay, today I am stopping. I hope this much is clear. We will have on Wednesday.